Okay, hello, welcome to Diamond Stitches, and today we will be having a tutorial on how to draft a basic bodice block. And here are the measurements needed to draft a basic bodice block. You have your vertical measurements, which include your bust height, your under bust length, your waist length, your front waist length, your back waist length, your blouse length. You have the round measurements to which include the bust circumference, the under bust circumference, the waist circumference, and the upper hip circumference. While the horizontal measurements are the bust span and the shoulder distance. So the tools you'll be needing: your tape measure, your pattern master, your hammer curve, your pencil, basically. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to, with my tape measure, I'm going to come down with 0.5, and I'm going to have a straight line, a straight horizontal line to draw across that, like this. And that forms my shoulder line. I'm going to, from my shoulder line, take down my blouse length, which is 24. I'm going to mark that. I'm going to come here again and take 24 inches, my blouse length. And I'm going to draw an horizontal line across that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to get the box I need to draft my basic bodice block. Now from my measurements, I'm going to look at the most protruded part of my body, either the bust circumference or the upper hip circumference. My upper hip circumference here is 38 and the bust circumference is 36. So I am going to be using my 38 measurement, which is the upper hip circumference. I'm going to be dividing it by 2, and it gives me 19. I'll be adding 2 to 19, which gives me 21. So from this point, I'm going to mark 21 inches, like this. 21 inches. And on the skirt, on the blouse length, I'm going to be taking 21 inches. I'm going to draw a straight line, a straight vertical line this time. So as you see very well, I'm going to be using my marker for you to see very well. So to get the space, I did 38 divided by 2 plus 2. My hip circumference divided by 2 plus 2. And I'm going to further divide this into 2. That's 21 divided by 2, which is 10.5. 10.5. And 10.5. I'm going to draw a straight line. Here I'm going to label my center front, and here will be my center back. This, I'm going to be drafting my center front. My front pattern will be here, my back pattern will be here. And so I'm going to be imputing my vertical measurements. My vertical measurement. On my front pattern, I'm going to come down my bust height. My bust height is 10. I'm going to impute 10. Under bust 13. Waistline 16. And here I have my blouse length. I'm going to do that here too. I'm going to take 10, 10, 13 inches, and 16 inches. And across that, I'm going to be drawing an horizontal line. This is my waistline, my under bust line, and my bust line here. My hemline, which is the same thing as my blouse length. So the next thing so on my shoulder line, I'm going to be imputing half of my shoulder distance measurement. My shoulder distance measurement is 14. So I'm going to be dividing 14 by 2, which gives me 7. So from my center front, I'm going to be marking 7. Half of my shoulder. And from this 7, I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch. This forms my shoulder slope. On my shoulder line still, I'm going to be marking 3 inches by 3 inches, like this. And on this line, with my armhole curve, I'm going to be drawing a curved line like this. And I'm going to be drawing a slant line to form my shoulder slope like this. This is my shoulder slope and this is my neckline. So going forward, I need to get my chest line. And to get my chest line, it is my bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5. So my bust circumference divided by 6. The bust circumference I'm working with is 36 divided by 6 gives me 6 plus 1.5 gives me 7.5. So from my shoulder slope, I'm going to be marking 7.5 like this. Now to get a straight line, I'm going to come up like this and add my 1 inch that I have here to it, which gives me 8.5, because I need to get a straight line across this. I'm going to mark 8.5, and then with my straight ruler, I'm going to connect those lines together, and that forms my chest line. As you can see, my chest line extends to the back. My chest line extends to the back, like this. And I'm going to label this my chest line. And I'm going to be drawing this line so you can see it. So on my chest line, I'm going to be imputing what I have here. That is my shoulder, half of my shoulder measurement. I'm going to impute it here, which is 7. I'm going to draw a straight line to connect my shoulder slope like this. Like this. And so on my chest line, I'm going to be imputing quarter of my bust circumference on my chest line. My bust circumference, the bust circumference I'm using for this pattern is 36. 36 divided by 4 gives me 9. I'm going to mark 9 here. My waistline, on my waistline, I'm going to impute half of my waist circumference. The waist circumference we are using here is 30. 30 divided by 4 gives us 7.5. 7.5, I'm going to mark that, 7.5. Now on my waistline, I'm going to be adding 1.5 to that. I'm going to be adding 1.5 to that measurement. And that 1.5 is going to be for my dart allowance. I'm going to be taking it out later. On my hip line, M line, on my blouse length, I'm going to be imputing half of my hip circumference. Quarter of my hip circumference is 9.5, which is 38. 38 divided by 4 gives me 9.5. So I have that here. I'm going to connect with my straight ruler like this. So we are almost getting there. I have this. I need to see this very well. Okay. So we are almost there. Now on my armhole line, on this line, I'm going to mark half of this. Half of this gives me 3.25. So I can as well impute this. I'm going to go inside like this. Just follow my video, you understand. By 0.75, like this, 0.75. And I'm going to connect like this. And like this. And that forms my armhole curve. This forms my armhole curve. Now on my waistline, I'm going to impute half of my bust span. My bust span is 8. I'm going to impute half of my bust span, which is 4. I'm going to impute here. I'm going to take that on my hip line to 4 inches, and I'm going to take it on my bust line. This is on my bust line, not on my chest line. So I'm going to connect this together. I'm going to connect the lines together to get a straight line. Now on my bust line, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. And on my hip line, I'm going to go up by 2 inches. I'm going to go up by 2 inches. Now, what I have as my dart allowance is 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches. And I'm going to distribute this 1.5 on both sides of my dark line. So I have 1.5 divided by 2 gives me 0.75. I have 0.75 here, and I have 0.75 here. And I'm going to connect like this, from the 1 inch I dropped to the 2 inches that I went up with. I'm going to connect like this, and there I have my dart intake. I've taken in my dart like that. So never mind, in case you have a straight line here, it's fine. By the time I take this dart intake, it's going to give you that curvy look, that shape that you need. So this is basically our front pattern. And the last thing I need to do, because I don't want to have a sharp edge here, I'm going to go up by 1 inch. And with my pattern master, I'm going to connect like this to this line here, to my dark line here. I'm going to connect like this. Now you can see that. So this is our front pattern, There's one more thing that we need to do, but I'll come back to that after finishing my back length, my back pattern. So on my back pattern, I'm going to impute my back waist length. My back waist length is 14.5. So I'm going to mark that here. This is 14.5. I'm going to come to my center back. Now the 14.5 is from my shoulder line. Don't forget that. It's from my shoulder line. And I'm going to come here again, 14.5. I'm going to impute 14.5 and draw that with a straight vertical line like this. And this here is my back waistline. So for you to see. Now for your back blouse length, the difference you have from your front waist length and your back waist length, like this, which is 1.5, you're going to come up here like this. No need going to mark or to measure on your client's body or on the body your blouse length at the back. You can just manipulate by deducting what you have as a difference between your back waist length and your front waist length. Definitely that's what it's going to give you as your back blouse length. I'm going to connect that like this, and this forms my back back blouse length at the back, which is also my back hemline. Okay, so now the last thing I said you have to do here is what you have as a difference here, in your back waistline and your front waist length. It's going to form your bust dart. We are going to take it out from our bust dart because we need the sides of the front and the back to be equal. So I'm going to do it this way. So here is my front, my bust dart at the front. Okay. So just like we did on the front pattern, this is our center back. From my center back on my shoulder line, I'm going to impute half of my shoulder measurement, which is 7. I'm going to impute it here. I'm going to come down here by 1 inch to form my shoulder slope. I'm going to come down by 3 inches. I'm going to mark 3 inches on my shoulder line against 1 inch like this for my back neckline, and I'm going to connect that with a curved line like this, on my straight ruler, like this. Now I already got my chest line. So on my chest line, I'm going to impute half of my shoulder. I'm going to impute it here too, and draw a straight line like this. I'm going to get the midpoint of this and mark. On my back length, I'm going to be going in by 0.5. On my back pattern, I go in by 0.5. But on my front pattern, I go in by 0.75. Take note of the difference. So I'm going to be connecting that like this. Now, before connecting that, I'm going to take my bust measurement here too. My bust measurement is 9. I'm going to mark 9 like this. Mark 9. I'm going to, on my waistline, I'm going to impute quarter of my waist measurement, which is 30. 30 divided by 4 gives me 7.5. I'm going to be adding 7.5. I'm going to be marking 7.5 like that. And on my back waistline, I'm going to be adding 1 inch for my dart allowance. Take note of that, 1 inch at the back for dart allowance, but on the front pattern it is 1.5. So don't get it mixed up. I'm going to connect that like this. On my hip line, on my blouse length at the back, I'm going to impute quarter of our hip circumference, which is 38 divided by 4, which is 9.5. I'm going to do this and connect it like this and like this. So on this, my armhole, I'm going to be curving it this way like that. We are almost done. Now on my waistline, I'm going to be marking my bust band at the back too, which is 8 divided by 2, 4. I'm going to mark 4 like this, 4 this way, and I'm going to connect it. I'm going to connect it like this. Now, just like we did for the front, I'm going to come down by 1 inch like this, and on my blouse length by 2 inches, I'm going to go up by 2 inches. I have a 1 inch allowance for the back, so I'm going to take it, I'm going to distribute that on both sides of my dark line, which is 0.5, 0.5. I'm going to draw my dark leg like this, and like this. This is my dart intake. I need you to see that very well. My marker is so thick, but let's manage it. So on my back waist length, we need to avoid the bulge we usually see on our blouses or gowns. So what we need to do to correct that is we come in by 0.5 like this, and I'm going to connect it to my neckline like this, or anywhere between here and here we can connect it. We are going to draw a slant line like this to my hemline like this, like this, and this is called my back tightening. Okay. And the last thing I need to do is to come up, just like I did for the front, come up by 1 inch and draw a slightly curved line to connect like this. And there you go. We have our blouse, our basic bodice is ready. So the next thing we'll do is to cut this out. I'm going to cut our pattern pieces out. Here's our back pattern ready. There you go, our pattern pieces are ready. Now, by the time you sew in, you're going to be taking this in. Now, when you have something like this, you don't have to panic. I can always get it fixed like this. And like this. So, there you go, our pattern pieces are ready. So, thanks for watching. Bye.